this is a video about T junctions and how to emerge from T junctions. Sorry about my microphone, but it's raining, so I'm putting it right there so you can actually hear me because the rain is abysmal. We've got another yellow weather warning here. Anyway, hopefully you can hear me and I'm not wasting my time. So basically, when we're going to deal with a T junction, we're emerging out of a side road. So we're on the minor road and the major road is the one that's flowing at the top of the T. So that's the flow. You're the person who's going to have to come to a stop, right? So T junction for the obvious reasons. Now, when you're coming up to a T junction, it's either going to be give way on the floor like this. So you can see like the double line. I always say to my students, give way. So you can basically name the first line give and then the second one way. And then you've got a single line there just to show that it's a different road for people to turn into like that. This is a standard T that I'm holding here. And you turn left out of this side and you turned right out of that side as well. But the position would be slightly different as you approach, which of course we're going to talk about in a minute as well. Now, the first thing that we need to talk about is whether it is an open junction or, most likely if you're in a town, a closed junction. Now, what this means is you can see or you can't see. Now, I'm talking about this today as a T junction, obviously, but this can spill into other junctions. So it can spill into a crossroads. It can uncontrolled, no traffic light. It can spill into a complex junction. It can even spill into a roundabout. Open means you can see, there's nothing in your way, and closed means there's something in your way that's stopping you from being able to see, basically. So this is a picture of an open junction. Now, as you can see, this car is approaching the T junction to do a left or a right turn. He's not saying, but he hasn't got anything on the left and the right. There's nothing there. There's no houses, there's no trees, there's no fences, there's nothing in the way. So this person can basically see right over the top and make a decision about the safety of the road before he's really got there. So there is a possibility that he could turn out of this in second gear. He wouldn't want to turn out in a higher gear than that. That's going to be too fast. You're either going to be using second or first with this. Those are your turning gears, most likely. Otherwise, you're going to go really fast. So if it's clear, second gear, so he might be able to make a decision that he can just turn out without stopping if he can see that there's nothing there, including pedestrians, because they do have priority to cross the road in the same direction as the give way line, right? But the difference, if you look at this picture, this is a closed junction. So when this person's coming up, this is supposed to be a house here. See that bit of brick there? So he can't see through that and he can't see through the bush. So all this car can see is like literally up like that and he can't see through. So he can only see at the very end of the house and the tree there. So it's only going to become more open to him when he gets to the end of the house and the tree there, or the bush, sorry. Now, when he gets up to even further, up to the give way line in this case, there's parked cars as well. So if there's parked cars, he still can't see. And he might need to very, very carefully and in an organised way move himself up to the end of the parked cars so he can see and make the junction open. I've made another very detailed video about this, so feel free to go and have a look at it. But if it's safe to do so, because you're not allowed to have any guess, luck and hope on your drive, if you realise that you can't see at this line, you need to very, very carefully, if it's safe to do so, creep forward and take yourself up to the imaginary line that you're now making to the same level as the top of the cars there. Now, it won't matter that you do this, that you're coming out over the lines if it's sensible, because people are going to be overtaking the parked cars anyway. So they're already in a position of going down the road. The only thing that you need to be a bit careful about is if it's a very busy road and people need to come into this space to give way if it's a really busy road with parked cars. But have a look out for that and very, very carefully peep and creep using clutch control to go forward and pause a little bit further out so you make the junction open yourself to see hazards like the bikes that are coming, like that. Now, when you're using these junctions, it's either going to be give way or it's going to be stop. Now, as you can see here, you've got the double line, give way, yeah? And you've got the triangle there, which is basically the triangle printed on the floor to remind you to give way. And then you've got a single line there for people to come in. If the line was double across here and there was a triangle here on the other side, you'd turn left out of this side and right out of that side, because it would be a one-way. But if the triangle's only on this side and the line's there, then you turn left out of this side and right out of that side there. So you do everything from the left side with a slightly different position depending on how curvy this bit here is. If it's not too curvy and it's quite straight like this, actually, you'd have quite a straight position because there's no curve here. But if you're dealing with a junction which has a big curvy bit here, then you're going to go into the left there for a left turn, and then you'd be just left of centre line with straight wheels to turn right. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. Now, the processes of you turning out of a T junction with your processes, from the previous knowledge that you would have had, which is turning left and turning right. Look at my other videos. We're doing this in order, by the way. You would have learnt mirror signal manoeuvre to pull up on the left. Then your driving instructor would have said, well done, you're doing really well at that. We're now going to learn MSPSL, which is your turning left from a main road to a side road. So you would have already learnt MSPSL. Now the L can also be extended, because mirror signal manoeuvre, we get rid of the manoeuvre and we replace it with position, speed and look. Then you've got the full routine MSPSL, mirror signal, position, speed, look. Very important. Go and have a look at the other video if you don't know what I'm talking about. Then the L, when you approach the end of the road, can then extend further into look, assess, decide, act, which, to be honest with you, is a really fancy way of saying look left, look right, make a decision. Is it safe for you to go? And then act on that decision, right? Look, assess, decide, act. I personally think that MSPSL is really, really important for people to learn. Look, assess, decide, act. Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. Look right, look left. Check the danger side first, most likely, because you're the driver. You need to see what's going on your right side first. Right, left, right would probably be your normal checks, unless it's far more open on the left first and closed on the right. Then you'd probably look left, right, left. But very standard to look right, left, right. Please don't worry about that too much. Maybe I shouldn't have said that too much, because at the end of the day, you just need to look, assess, decide, act, and make sure that you've checked both sides before you pull out. When you pull out of this junction, you can't slow people down, right? You can't pull out of a junction and then have somebody behind you have to brake or slow down because of you. So you need to enter the road in a flow, like they're the water, and then you're just joining the flow of the water without upsetting anybody, right? Let's just pretend that people's brakes don't work. We can't rely on you pulling out of a junction and then they have to brake. Just pretend that their brakes don't work. Can I go? Learners are normally more hesitant than pulling out, but obviously there is like different types of learner. So to be able to sort of learn gaps as you go, check your mirror after you go, right? When you're in your little safe areas, turning left and doing T junctions in little like places, just check your mirror afterwards, because you'll start to learn, oh yeah, the red car's like still like miles away, you know, and that can really help when you're learning gaps and stuff like that. Turn, and when you've finished, check your mirror. Now, in these situations, pedestrians have priority, okay? So there's a person with a pushchair here in this picture. You must give way to the people who are crossing the road. So you may have to have an imaginary give way line before the actual real give way line. So you stop early, let the pedestrian cross if they want to, and then you turn afterwards, right? Just in the same direction as the give way line. They can walk across in the same way, all right? Now, in towns, it's far more likely that you're going to get closed junctions because there's houses everywhere, right? So it's way more likely that the junctions are going to be closed. So when I say to my students, is it open or closed? I'm not trying to deliver a trick question. What I'm trying to do is remind them that they can't see, which will mean that they need to use first at the closed junction. A closed junction, you need to go very slow because you need to pretend that there's people coming. You basically need to think that the worst case scenario is happening and there's cyclists and nasty things going on. So you need to approach slowly. You need to go into first gear if it's closed. If it's clear, second gear might be able to happen at an open junction, maybe, but it still might be really, really busy. So even though you're approaching an open junction and you can see everything, you can see it's really busy, so you still can't go. So there's just more possibility of using second to come out of an open junction. Yeah, maybe. But closed, very likely to have a closed T junction. If somebody came to me in a panic and they said, oh my God, Ros, my test is like in 20 minutes and I don't know what to do about T junctions, what should I do about my gear? I'd be like, do you know what, just use first gear, blanket rule it. Because if you're doing your driving test in a town, the likelihood of it being a closed junction is incredibly high, right? If you were to use first gear with an open junction on one occasion, you're going to get away with it, right? So if I had to blanket rule it, they're all closed in a town, right? It depends on where you're learning to drive, okay? I am talking about like where I work. I'm learning, I'm teaching people to drive in a very, very busy place. There's hardly any open junctions. In fact, when I put all of the video sort of examples in a minute, I think I'm going to find it quite hard to find an open T junction. So my examples may all be closed, but we'll talk about the MSPSL routine and the LADA routine and look, assess, decide, act. So when you're coming up to a T junction, it's either going to be give way, which is the upside down triangle, or it's going to be stop. Those are the two like uncontrolled versions that you can get, the ones without traffic lights, basically. So if you've got the upside down triangle, it's printed on the floor sometimes. So it can come on a stick. If it got covered in snow, you still know what it is because there's only one upside down triangle in the whole of the signs on the road. So you know that it's a give way. Yeah, so if it's covered in snow and you can't see what's going on, oh, it's an upside down triangle. I know I need to give way here. The same with a stop sign. It's the only octagonal sign that's on the road. You have to stop. It's not optional. You have to stop. It's the law. You must stop. Otherwise, the police are going to have a problem with that. People fail their driving tests for not stopping at a stop sign. As you know, if you've been following my channel, I've been a driving instructor for 22 years. It's been an exceptionally long time. But I have counted now that I've had 5 people fail at a stop sign because they nearly stopped, but they didn't quite stop. Very close. They came up and they nearly stopped and then they just went. And the examiner went, no, sorry, didn't stop. You have to stop. A cease of movement. The wheels must stop. If the police are watching you and you don't physically stop, you're breaking the law. If you're on your driving test and you don't stop, you're going to fail your test at a stop line. Yeah, not a give way. You might be able to go without stopping if you can see, if you've gone slow enough in first gear at a closed junction or an open junction. And you might be able to go without stopping at the give way line because you're just giving way. But the stop sign, you have to stop. It's the law. Okay, now when you're coming up to it, this is quite, I said earlier on that you should do prep steer into the left. Let's talk about that a little bit more. When you're coming up to a left T junction, then you're going to be emerging onto the main road. All right, so you go mirrors, let's say you're going to left, yeah? Mirrors to the left, signal to the left, position, then speed by braking. It's an open junction, but the likelihood of you being able to go like in a town straight away, let's just pretend that it's really busy at this one. So mirror signal position, speed by braking. It's really busy. Clutch down, first gear as you're rolling forward. That's called a controlled roll. Braking as your clutch is down, first gear, and then you roll and you do prep steering to go round to the left and a slight stop. Having this prep steering to going round the corner like that and then stopping is very good because it's going to give you a very nice position on the new road when you do the turn. So if you have given way to pedestrians, you would have stopped early. But if you've gone up to the line and gone into the left, that is going to be beautiful because then you can turn out to the left well. Also, if you have this beautiful position to the left, if it was a particularly wide road, then maybe, if it's wide enough, then maybe a red car can go on your right and they can approach at the same time and you can turn left and they can turn right, perhaps, because you've got excellent position away from traffic. It depends on the size of the road, yeah? It may just be one at a time. You go left and then somebody behind you then turns right, maybe. It depends on the size, right? But if you're turning left, you go into the left. If you're turning right, you're going to do mirrors to the right because it's MSPSL routine, yeah? Mirrors to the right, signal to the right. Position just left of centre line with very straight wheels. Approaching straight. It's really busy or it's closed. Speed by braking, clutch down, first gear, rolling on a controlled roll. Pausing because there's no pedestrians, pausing with straight wheels, and then look, assess, decide if it's safe to go without making anyone brake, and then act on the decision. So that's look, assess, decide, act to come out of the junction. It's a very fancy way of saying turn left, look left and look right, look right, look left, look right to come out of the junction. So look, assess, decide, act. And that would be on all junctions, crossroads, roundabouts, complex junctions. Look, assess, decide, act. How fast is the person going? Yeah, so you like judge their speed. Are they signalling to the left to come in here perhaps? If they are signalling left to come in here, can you go? Maybe. What's the speed of the person behind the person who's turning? Because if they're very close and very fast, you may want to hold back, even though you might be able to take advantage of somebody turning into this road if you know that they really are. You might be able to do it if you feel that the person behind is far enough away or whatever. But if they're close, be careful, yeah, because you do need to give way to the main road. Other things that you need to be careful of is parked cars. If there's parked cars around, when you're turning left out of a T junction, definitely look both ways. I've seen over and over and over people on the main road, not my students, but other people just coming up and just looking in the right direction. And then when they turn, they realise that there's been a parked car here and there's somebody overtaking that and they've got a car coming towards them. You're in the side road, you don't have priority. If other people are struggling with parked cars, they're on the main road first. You can't go out and force people to give you priority straight away because there's a parked car around. You just need to be like, there's a parked car, people are going to be like, struggling with that, right? And then you go, all right? So look, assess, decide, act is a very fancy way of saying look left, look right. Most of these junctions are going to be closed, certainly in the place that I mean, look, it depends on where you're learning to drive, yeah? If you're if you're learning to drive in like the Isle of Wight or something, maybe there's shed loads of open junctions there, and my briefing is like slightly wrong. Open junctions, you can see. Yeah, there's a place near where I live, a place called Stroud, and they have like huge commons. If I worked there, then maybe I'd be able to teach my students to just pull out, right, and not have to go down into first gear. We might be able to slow down, go into second gear and be like, ooh, if it's clear second gear, and being able to just lift our clutch and then go straight away so we're not coasting around the corner. Coasting is when you've got your clutch down, when you go around corners. We can't do that. So yeah, otherwise approaching with first gear on approach and then turning with excellent clutch control to come out left and right. Remember to stay on your biting point for 2 car lengths so you're less likely to stall, and whatever you do, don't forget to set your gas if you need to, again, so you don't stall. Guys, I really hope that information helps you as always, and yeah, I shall see you on the next one. Okay guys, so let's just do a demonstration of this. I've got a couple of hazards to deal with first, but I'm approaching a T junction at the end of the road. So I need to make a decision whether it's open or closed 10 car lengths before. So all junctions are going to be open at the very end. So 10 car lengths before, I need to decide whether there's houses and bushes or something in my way that I can't see. So I've decided this is closed because of the houses. So it's mirrors to the right, signal to the right, position just left of centre line if there was one, speed by braking, clutch down into first gear because it's closed. Look, assess, decide and act. I had to be pretty careful because of the pedestrian on that occasion. So I really needed to make sure that there was no cars and that he was safe before he got into his van. At the end of the road, I'm going to turn right 10 car lengths away. I'm going to decide whether it's open or closed, and there's a lot of bushes on this occasion, so it's closed. Mirrors to the right, signal to the right, position just left of centre line, speed by braking, clutch down into first gear as I approach this junction. Look, assess, decide and act, deciding that it was safe to go straight away, even though there was lots of parked cars there. Okay, and now we've got this example of turning left out of the end. Had to slow this one down because it was way too quick. Turning left, so mirrors to the left, signal to the left. Position normal at the moment, but I'm going to get into the left in a minute. Speed by braking, clutch down into first gear because it's closed. Into the left, prep steering. Looking right, looking left, look, assess, decide and act. And as you can see, I've been really lucky at all of these. I have been approaching these with the thought that somebody is there. It's closed. I couldn't see. I didn't have any guess luck or hope, but I approached very slowly and went down into first gear, and I created time to be able to see whether there was anyone coming. When I was pleasantly surprised that I saw that no one was coming, I was literally able to pull out of the junction without stopping each time, which is really cool. So you don't necessarily have to stop at a T junction, which is give way. You only have to stop at the stop sign. So if you can see that it's clear and safe to go, then off you go. That's the beauty of using first gear on approach to a T junction, because you can see and you can work it all out and then you can go.